What's happening, folks? Welcome back to Celtic Fans TV. Starting 11 prediction time for tomorrow's big game at Ibrox. This is season defining. Games don't come much bigger than this, and we come into it with a fully fit squad, minus James Forrest. That is the first time we've been able to call on a fully fit squad, or near a fully fit squad as we have tomorrow. For many years in this fixture, there's always been one or two players out in recent games. Even the most recent one, which we won comfortably at Celtic Park, we were missing Kyogo. There's been a thread of us being missing big players. This is not the case on Sunday, and we're in a really good position coming into the game. It's obviously off the back of an international break. Some of our big players didn't travel and didn't play with their countries. Tom Rogic stayed, didn't go to play with Australia. Daisen Maeda pulled out of the Japan squad. Kyogo is back fit. We've got plenty of options in terms of the starting 11 for this game. As I say, it's a great position to be in, and I think this is the best shape that we've been in approaching one of these games for a long time. Rangers obviously come into it sitting in second place in the table, and that is where they'll stay regardless of the result tomorrow. Obviously, we've got that 3-point cushion at the top of the league, much superior goal difference as well. So regardless of the outcome tomorrow, we will be top of the table. But having said that, we're in great form. 25 domestic games, unbeaten. And if we can match that intensity from the February derby at Celtic Park, we'll be in with a great chance of winning this game tomorrow. We know how the manager's going to approach it. I discussed this at length with Callum in the preview show yesterday. I'll link that up here and in the description below to watch it if you haven't seen it already. We are going to approach this game with the same intensity we've played at in all games this season. We've come such a long way since our last trip to Ibrox, which was a narrow 1-0 win for Rangers. We had good chances in that game, but the team that started that day and the team that starts tomorrow will look very, very different. A lot of players have left the club since that time. A few players have come in who have become key, integral players for us. So as I say, we're in much, much better shape coming into this game than we were for our last trip there. We'll get straight into the team. No housekeeping today. We'll just get straight into this starting 11. That's what it's all about. In goals, it'll obviously be Joe Hart. I think the back five picks itself really. At right back, Josip Juranovic, after his performance the last time out against Rangers, has to start in this game. I know there's a wee bit of debate about the full-back areas, but Juranovic has to start at right back. The centre-half pair in the Starfelt and Carter Vickers have been excellent all season. I fully expect those two to start. And then Taylor at left back. I've said it in recent weeks. I've said it all season really. I don't see any viable alternative there that the manager's going to pick. We could have Juranovic at left back and Ralston at right back, but Ralston would be up against Kent. And given the job that Juranovic did against Kent in the last game, he's got to be at right back. So I think the back five picks itself. In midfield, Callum McGregor will start in that deeper position. He's such a key player for us. The intensity he started the last derby with was very, very important to how the game unfolded. That clip where he's absolutely hounding Barisic on the halfway line, that's the same intensity that we need in this game tomorrow. It's going to be different because the atmosphere's against us. We're away from home, but we've got to match that intensity and try and quieten the crowd, take control of the game early on, because that will give us the best chance of going on to win the game. In front of him in midfield, again, another area of the pitch where the manager's got options, but I think it has to be Hatate ahead of McGregor and alongside them Matt O'Reilly. Hatate, as I said yesterday, is the best balance between a 6 and a 10. I think we've got a lot of, if you look at Rogic, Turnbull, O'Reilly's maybe more of an 8, but Rogic and Turnbull are just out and out 10s. And then we've got 3 or 4 players who you would call a 6, like McGregor, Beaton, McCarthy, Sorrow and Ideguchi. The last 3 of them aren't in contention to start this game, let's be honest. So I think Hatate's essential, but O'Reilly is the standout for me in these two positions. I think O'Reilly is the one that has to play tomorrow. His intensity has been absolutely fantastic. Again, if you think back to that 3-0 victory at Celtic Park, he was brilliant that night. It was his first taste of the derby. Again, it'll be different because it's away from home tomorrow, but I've got full faith in Matt O'Reilly, and I think his performances have been key. He fits in to the Postecoglou way of playing seamlessly. Since he's arrived at the club, he's been brilliant. I think he's the one that has to start in there tomorrow. The midfield is always a key battleground in these games, and those three again have got to match their levels from that February game, take control of it, and then let us go and play from there. In terms of the right hand side, this is another area of debate, because last time out against Ross County, that 4-0 victory, Jota started on the right hand side, Dyson Maeda played on the left, and Giakoumakis was through the middle. Abada, again, excellent this season. Really good output in terms of goals and assists. Brilliant in that last Derby victory. So who do you play? Do you play Abada? Do you keep Jota in his preferred position on the left-hand side? And then there's a debate, obviously, about who plays through the middle. But I think tomorrow he's going to go with the same setup again. I think Jota is going to start on the right-hand side. Maeda is going to play on the left. Now, I know that puts Jota out of his preferred position, and I think he's coped with that really well. I think his performance against Ross County was absolutely brilliant, and something that really stood out throughout that game, albeit with a comfortable lead early on, was that both Jota and Maeda swapped positions a lot. They were constantly switching. Whether that will be the case in this game, I'm not so sure. But I think Jota on the right, Maeda on the left, because of Maeda's intensity against the ball, that's going to be really, really important for us, because we're away from home. Rangers might have spells on the ball. We need our press to be right at its highest level. We've got to not let them get comfortable spells of possession and gain territory in the game and let them dictate it. We've got to be right on it against the ball, and I think Maeda is so important to that. So that's why I think the manager will go with him over Abada. Again, as in all the positions through the team, when someone starts, the other player is there on the bench, and that's great options for us. Whatever the outcome of the game is at 50, 60 minutes, approaching the last 15, there's options there on the bench to change it for the manager, and that's really, really important for us. Now, the last place in the team, is it going to be Giakoumakis or Kyogo? We've all been thinking about this for weeks, basically, because this international break, we knew that Kyogo was back training beforehand. He's been out for a long time, but he is obviously so good, and he gives a different dynamic to the team. We're a totally different animal with Kyogo playing. So what do? Do you start Giakoumakis, who's been in good goal-scoring form recently, and deputise well for Kyogo when he's been out? Or do you go with Kyogo because he's the best player, he's the main man, he's a talisman, he's back, he's available? And I think in terms of how we play, the thing that stands out to me, in transition, we were devastating round about October, November, December time. That 3-2 win away at Ferencváros is the game that really stands out. And it was Kyogo, Jota and Abada, the front three that night. And in transition, we were devastating. Now, is this game more like a European away game or your usual Scottish Premiership game where Giakoumakis has performed well recently? It's probably more like an away European game, if you like, because the difference in quality between the two teams is closer than it usually is against the rest of the league. So by that token, we could start Kyogo. I think we've been very deliberately careful with him. And it might be a curveball for Ange to say, listen, Kyogo's starting tomorrow. It'd be a huge boost for us. Rangers are missing their main player up front. We've got our main player up front back. But I'm going to go with Giakoumakis. I don't know what's best. I don't know if it's best to start with Giakoumakis, bring Kyogo on off the bench, or try and get 50, 60 minutes out of Kyogo and then bring Giakoumakis on. I think probably the first one. I think Giakoumakis playing well and good goal scoring for him, gave Rangers problems last time, really got up against their centre halves physically. Now Kyogo gives a different threat, and I think that threat in behind is something that on occasions where I've watched Rangers this season, they've really struggled in behind with pace. So Kyogo gives you that. But I think Giakoumakis, being in form, being in a good place, should start the game. And I think Kyogo there as an option off the bench makes us really, really dangerous into the second half of this game. Regardless of what the scoreline is, how the game's sitting, I think having Kyogo there on the bench is like having an ace in the pack. He can really change it for us should we need it. And if we don't need it, even if we're leading in the game, it gives Rangers a real different threat on the counter-attack. So there you go. That is the starting 11 I think the manager will go with tomorrow. Put your comments in below. Who do you think will start? The key areas of the pitch for me are obviously midfield. what's going to happen in the front three, who plays out wide, should Jota play right, or should we start Abada, keep Jota on the left-hand side, and obviously the big one, does Kyogo start through the middle, or do we stick with Giakoumakis? Let us know in the comments below, like this video, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. We'll be back tomorrow with the post-match pint. It's back for the first time in about 4 months. We'll be live from Malone's Bar after the game, hopefully toasting a monumental Celtic victory. Mon the Hoops.